here, Art?
Gary, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I'm sure that Jeff will speak to the way the APA has made strides in distancing itself from the drug companies. But what I want to say is I'm the person who would be most motivated, I guess, to find conspiracies out there since I'm a journalist. And there aren't conspiracies. There's no attempt to plant, these industry ties are unseemly, and they reflect the entanglement of psychiatry with the drug industry. But there's nobody planting disorders in the DSM in order to get drug money. You don't need conspiracies like that when you have capitalism. Every diagnosis is a market. Whether the people who make the diagnosis are intended to be that way or not. And that's a symptom of a healthcare system that's in trouble. So that's a much larger problem. But as to the specifics of it, the issue here is that the psychiatrists and the drug industry have a similar take on psychological suffering, which is that it is a medical problem that is, by and large, to be treated with drugs.
That's your take.
Well, I don't have a big animus against drugs. I just think that we need to be more transparent about the fact that we don't know much about their long-term effects, that we don't know exactly why they work, that they are treating symptoms and not underlying disorders. And I think with transparency, many of the problems that I bring up in my book can be resolved. I also think that with transparency, psychiatry would be answering to maybe more critics, but I think that might be a healthy thing.
Ira, this is Jeff Lieberman. I think the issue is less transparency than it is lack of progress. There's a saying that it's better to be lucky than to be smart. Psychiatry, even though it is in many respects the stepchild of medicine, has been lucky in the sense that serendipitously, in the 1950s, post-World War II, when the NIH was created, when the NIMH was one of the first institutes created in the NIH, we happened to stumble upon pharmacologic history to alleviate psychotic symptoms of schizophrenia and antidepressants. Agents that work as antidepressants to alleviate the symptoms of severe major depression, and then subsequently lithium and anticonvulsants as mood stabilizers. We didn't know what the cause of the illnesses were. We didn't know exactly why the drugs were effective, but we did know that they were dramatically therapeutic, and they have remained lifesavers for countless numbers of patients who otherwise would have been institutionalized or relegated to completely incapacitated lives. The problem is that we haven't moved beyond that very far.
And we had the 1990s, which was the decade of the brain. Did we move far there? I mean, and then we just had President Obama saying we need the brain initiative, $100 million jump-starting money on that. Why aren't we moving very far?
Well, there are a bunch of reasons. This is complex. Part of it has been that the science is focused much more on treatment disorders. That's something we can change. And I think part of it is that these are complicated problems. We haven't had great tools. Part of the excitement of the BRAIN initiative is that we're hoping to get much better tools. Can I just respond to Dave? Because I think he's raised three at least, interesting issues related to the economics. I'm not sure we've really responded. As
totally understand why. I thought that's what it was going to be when I started to read it. When they gave up and got into Tennessee, I have to say I felt relieved.
You felt relieved? I didn't.
I felt like I was off the phone. I don't ever have to see.
You thought if he did it, then you would have to.
It's been in the back of my mind somewhere for a long time that I would do that one day, and if I the better you get, the better you know yourself. Ever going to do that and reading this book? Probably not. Like, I'm never going to go to ever see the after I saw it.
But I thought the best parts of the book were when they were hiking the trail. So Bill Bryson hikes the trail with his friend, Stephen Katz, who I think is like the bookmaker.
Yeah.
I mean,